These are good. And I'm going to get rid of, for security reasons. So, okay, we can leave all that. So this is fine for security. So right now we don't have any. So the plan is for me to create one of these things called a Lambda function. So you can use a Lambda function to do a website. So that's kind of what I want to show today of how to use Lambda if you wanted to use a service on the internet. So the thing to think about is Lambda is used for making services on the internet. And at any point, you can ask me a question. So I want to go through this example. It's actually a pretty good example to go through. And go back to it's easier to go back to this chat. I'll put this up in a different window because I keep closing it. All right, so all right, so it's this one. All right, let's go through the example. So pardon for the delay, some technical issues on my end. So how should I do this? So use Terraform, which I've talked about, and we have the AWS cloud. All right, so I don't think I need these two, but I definitely need, so number 1, 2, and 5. So let me try this first thing called get. I'm going to run this command. So basically every place that you see this, where you see copy, I'm going to run the command. And yeah, so this one is, I think I can skip this one. I don't need this one. I can skip that. But everything else I can, yeah, I think I can build everything else without using that one. I said this is a long example, but it's actually a pretty good one. It's a good skill to know. All right, so I'm gonna start at the beginning. So there's a command called get. There's an English word, GET, right? So this word GET sounds like this word GET. It's a different word in Creole if you say it. So I'll spare you on that one. But it's basically a tool to get files. That's all it is. Make it very simple. It's a way to get files. So we're going to use that command. So we've talked about Terraform, about get. And talked about the AWS. So I'm going to type this in the chat. You see the window. So this is one of the things I'm interested in. So if I type this command, I want to be able to use that. All right, so there's no errors. I want to be able to use this. All right, that's something else. And I want to be able to use this. That's also something else. So those are the 3 that we're going to try and use together to show today. Then I can show how it appears in how it appears here. So that's where we want it to appear. We want to see. So right now it says 0, right? Right now it says 0. We want to get it to 1. Right now it's 0. It's not taking up any type of space. And yeah, there's nothing there. So what I'm displaying is like if you have a service, if you're on the internet, you can use this. You can use this to do a service on the internet, and the service could be something like, oh, you want to transfer money to a bank account. It could be something that's that simple. But think of things that you want to do simply. It could be something like transfer money to a bank account. It could be to send an order to somebody. But it's basically, if you want to do something very basic as far as what you're talking about. So sending money, if you had to explain it to somebody, it's very simple. If you had to explain it to somebody, or if you were sending an order to buy something, it's something that's very easy to understand. But the way you could do that is something like Lambda. And it's a cheaper way of doing it instead of doing a virtual machine. So the reason why I'm looking at Lambda is if you look at EC2, EC2 could be very expensive, right? It could be, let's take a look at this very quickly. Let's see. Create a launch template. I want to create a new one. So let's say if I did this, if I wanted to create an EC2 and I order different types of these, like these are going to cost different amounts of money. And some of them are going to be more expensive than others, right? So some of them could be like $400 a month, $600 a month, $1,000 a month. So that's one way for you to do the same type of system. So you can use the EC2 to send somebody money, to set up a system to send money, or to make an order, but maybe you don't want to spend that much money, right? You don't need everything for EC2. Maybe you want something a little bit smaller and a little bit easier. So instead of, for example, having a truck, you have a motorcycle, right? You can do small things. So you might have a truck and you want to deliver a cake. You don't need a truck to deliver a cake. The truck is too much. You can deliver a cake on just a motorcycle. So this is more of a motorcycle, basically, and the EC2 will be more like a truck. So let me go back through the example. Pardon me, because for some reason it's hard for me to see it on my screens. Screens are not helping me out here. So I'm going to go through the example. So I talked about 3 commands: Terraform, Git, AWS, right? So we're going to use all of them. So right here you see this, which I just talked about. And all it's going to do is I'm going to use it to get some files. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. I want some files, like the files I want to use for this example. So run this. I'll close the screen a bit. I'm going to run this so it's a little bit easier to see. All right, so now I connected. All right, now it has the files that I wanted. So it's telling me about 85 files. Here, some changes, about 37 changes. All right, there you go. I'm going to run these commands exactly the way they have it. So you can follow through on the when you look at the website, you can also see the examples of, in the video, you can see the examples. So right now I am recording, good. All right, this, I don't need this right now. I don't need this one right now. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Yeah, because everything I'm doing is going to be local anyway. So I'm going to set this to nothing. So, nope. There. That's what I want to do. All right, so this is a big one. I'm going to try this command, Terraform, which I talked about before. See if it will create what I'm looking for. All right, we're not seeing anything in red yet. So the numbers are going to be different slightly. So if I look at the example here and run this command, you see these numbers like 4.4, and I run it on mine, you see a different number. Let's see, 5.231. All right, so if you're doing it online, right, because things change so much. So right now you're seeing this, it says installed AWS 4.4, right? So if you look at the video, you'll be able to follow with what I'm actually doing. And like I said, I'm hoping to get this done before the end of this class. But if you look at this right here, 4.4, that might have been from like 3-4 months ago. But things change. They change stuff all the time. This is the other challenge with the technology. Go on back on video for a minute. But the other challenge with the technology is that it changes so much. So you might try an example online and you see a number, you say 4.4 online, and then you do it yourself, and it says, wait a second, it's 5.231, and there's some numbers I don't see here. Okay. That problem it's not a problem, it's just things change. So that the thing about the cloud and doing things on the internet, as you know, you're pretty young people, stuff doesn't stay the same. So if you go on a website or you go on Instagram, it's going to be changed within seconds. Each time you go to Instagram, it's going to be something different. It's never going to be the same twice. So this is not as fast of a change, but these technologies change often. That's why it's important to stay on top of it, because you understand it right now, which is great, but always stay with it, because the technology, and this is where it's good for business and making a profit, because if you're always learning, then you're always getting an opportunity to do something new, and you're always getting a chance to live and make a living off of what you're doing. I work with systems that change all the time, so I'm never out of business. I'm always in business somehow. All right. So this is an example. I just want to show I did the same command here, terraform init. Online, the command is this, terraform init. This looks different, right? This looks different than this because it's changed. So you have to be good, you have to spend a lot of time on it to understand that you need to spend time to understand that stuff changes. So it's important. So not to get frustrated if you try something and it doesn't work, because you might have to make a change. That's just the reality. So this is, let's see what happens with this one. Let's see if I have to fix anything here. All right, I copied too much. I don't need all that. I did this. I'm just going to copy this part right here. So I'm just going to run this command again, because I talked about Terraform. And I'm going to make sure I remove everything when done. So I'm just going to run this command and then see what happens here. So right now it's saying these two. Second. All right, I had to go on mute for a second there. So the other thing I'm going to show you, okay, good. So this is good. Now, this is actually even more interesting. So again, I want you guys to watch the video and just look at what I just typed in, look at what it gives you, and look at what it gave me. So this is going to be a little bit different than what's the one that's online. So let me back up and say, okay, what just happened? You say, Fritz, what did you just do? What did you just do? What just happened? All right, so let me go here, because I'm going to go back. I'm going to undo something, and then I'm going to do it again. So this is S3. You guys have heard me talk about S3 for like 2 years now. So an S3, because you can, like I said, Rego and Recon, you can log in and look at the same things I'm talking about. So we have another service, S3. So far, that's one service I've talked about. I talked about actually three. I've talked about Lambda, which is what we're going to work on today. I've talked about EC2, which I've talked about many times, in S3. So we just created this. This is what we just created. Let me actually be smart here. Get rid of, no, this doesn't matter. I can leave. This is not a, I try not to add more information than necessary. So I'm gonna remove this. So right now there's one S3 bucket. There's one. It says one here. I'm going to remove it because I want to show you that there was nothing, and then we created something. So we just created something in S3. That's what we just did. I'm going to write, so right now this is one. I'm going to destroy it to kind of show you what the point was of that other step that I just showed. So far, as part of doing this Lambda, we created S3. So this should happen kind of fast. All right, so destroyed 4. All right, so before I had added 4, changed 0, destroyed 0. Now I'm going to, so if I go back here, this I'm going to update the screen. This is going to be 0. Yeah, no, I don't have any buckets. Yeah, I have no buckets, so nothing. So I have no buckets. So I'm going to recreate. So when I run this command, this one right here, right, is going to tell me how many things it's going to create. And the S3, remember what S3 is used for. Use S3 to put files in it. So I want to add, so this is, there are none right now. I'm going to say yes to create a new one. And just follow along. So right now I'm creating something. I'm creating a bucket in S3. This should take less than a minute. All right, so I want to run the other commands. And all right, so 4 added. All right, so now if I go back to S3, it's going to show me a different screen. Now it shows me 1 again. So that screen was different. That's what I'm trying to show. So it's 1046, so I just created something. That's what I'm trying to show. I created something. All right. So now let me go to next step. This one's going to get pretty interesting. So I created this. All right, and just makes up the names. The names, this is the other thing that's interesting. So that the names are going to change each time. So each time it's going to be a little bit different. All right, so we're going to add a Lambda function here. So we created a bucket. We're going to put some files inside the bucket. So remember, S3 is so that you can put information inside the S3. And we go and reconsole. I'm going to try and leave this up. This part shouldn't cost any money. So I'm going to try and leave this up so that you guys can access it. And so you can understand what that actually means. All right, so the other thing is, all right, there's this. Good. Now this here. All right, so we're going to change a file. All right, so when I change in this, a lot of this has changed. So this is the interesting thing about this is why it's important to spend a lot of time reading this and watching videos, because the information changes online a lot. So it could be a little bit frustrating if you're trying to, if you're trying to use it and you see something online that's going to be different than what you expected. It's not, no reason to panic. All right, there's no reason to panic. So I'm going to add this. This one should work. I'm going to add this. So right now it says add the following. I have this file. I'm going to add this information to the file. We'll see what happens here. So I'm going to change this file here. I added some information because I want to add this Lambda function to the bucket. So again, the goal of this is to create some resources in AWS the way we had before. I want to show it, see if I can get it to work online so you can see it, and then we're going to remove it. Or I could probably leave it on, like I said, I could probably leave it online without costing any money. So let's do this again. So I just, apply is how you make something, you say you want something to change. So now I say apply because I want to change what I just changed, all right, cool. So, all right, which is good. So it just created one. So notice green means that there are no issues. Okay, it's 10:51 right now. I just realized. Let's take a break for like 9 minutes. Make it easy. So 11 a.m. Let's pick it up again at 11 a.m.
Okay.
Please. So let me pause the recording. All right, it's 11:15. I'm going to excuse me. Pardon me. Edit that for the video. So I'm going to run this again. It's not a bad picture. It's not a bad picture, but let me see if I can show you a better one. So we created some things. So looking at the window right now, S3, we created a bucket, one bucket. Inside the bucket, there's a file. All right. So that's one of the things that we created. We created those things. The other thing that we created was a Lambda function. Lambda function is, you can do things with it. So, and usually you try and do something very basic. Could be an order. So we're talking about orders earlier from a company. For the Lambda function, for us, it could be an order for a hotspot. Right? So as an example of like stuff that we could order. All right, so I ran the function, and it created the resources I wanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them because I want to run it again so that you guys can actually see it being created. So I'm going to destroy here. Right here. And so, oops, I didn't hit return. All right, so now it's going to destroy. So see stuff in red means it's a warning. And you might not be able to see on the screen here, but if you look at the video playback, so this is 9 to destroy. So in total, I created about let's say 9 things. So I'm going to try and destroy. I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to recreate it, what I destroyed. The order is going to be different. So we might have to do this a couple of times. So hopefully this doesn't cause any errors the way I did it this time. So the first time I created everything, I did it in pieces. I created the S3 first. So I created the S3 first. That was the first thing. And then, well, it just destroyed. All right. So it destroyed that one. And the Lambda is going to be gone too. So the Lambda's gone. So I'm going to try and do everything from, yeah, so you see here it's destruction complete. So it's got rid of the Lambda's gone. The S3 is gone. And those are the two of the services that we talked about. We talked about S3, we talked about Lambda. And, Rigo or Mikkelson, did you have a question?
No, not yet.
All right. All right. Bonjour. Might be dinner. So
I know, right?
that was a call for help. So we might have to go there and rescue it. All right. Oh wait, did I put you on mute, Rachel? I apologize. Did I put you on mute? My bad, Rachel. If I put you on mute, I apologize for that. Did not mean to do that. Yeah, I was trying to hover the
It's okay. I'm sorry. I was able to mute myself back.
Okay, all right, my bad. I was trying to hover. Okay, so let me close this right here. All right, so I want to actually show a picture. So I destroyed 9 things. So there are 2 services I wanted to talk about. So one of the services was S3. The other one was Lambda. Now, we talked about we talked about 1, 2, 3, actually 5 today so far. So I talked about Cloud Shell because it's always available. You don't need a computer to use Cloud Shell. AAM, because I had a key and I had turned the key off. So if you remember earlier in the video, there was a command that I tried that did not work. It didn't work for a security reason. I had removed the key. So when I remove the key, what happens? It doesn't work anymore, which is good, which is how you protect your infrastructure, and this is how you protect services. So I showed Cloud Shell for a little bit. I talked about IAM for the key. I talked about EC2 as if you have to pick up something, you can put what you're looking for in a truck. You can put a cake in a truck. It would work. If you had to deliver a cake or anything, a letter, you can put it 1 letter inside a truck. But that would be too much because you don't need all that just to deliver a letter. You can use something smaller and it'll be cheaper. So Lambda is smaller and cheaper. So you see here where it says EC2 virtual servers in the cloud. In Lambda, you can run code without thinking about servers. Servers are expensive. So EC2 might cost me, let's say $100 a month. And Lambda might cost me 10 cents a month. 10 cents. So that's a big difference. And it depends on what you want to do. If you want to do something that takes a lot of services, then yeah, you're going to have to do an EC2. You don't have a choice. And if you need the service on a certain number of hours every day, if you need it on between like 8 to 5 o'clock, no matter what, it has to be on, then an EC2 would be a better decision. If you don't have to use it 24/7, you just need it when it happens, Lambda might be a good option and it'll just be a lot cheaper. So that's the difference between if you have a car, I'm going to use the car example. If you have the car 24 hours a day, then sure, you're going to pay for that. If you rent it 24 hours a day, you're going to pay for that money. You're going to pay that money every hour because it's per hour. But if you only need the car to show up, you only on demand when you have an order, when you're delivering or you're picking up something, then you can use something like Lambda. So those are kind of the differences I want to show. It's still very technical. I'm not saying one is easier than the other. EC2 is a little bit easier, but Lambda can get very complex too. So it's not that it makes your life, it makes life or costs, not life. It makes costs cheaper, but it doesn't always make things super easy. Like some things are easier to do in EC2, they're just going to be very expensive. This might be a little bit more complicated because you have to do more, but it's cheaper. So these are the kind of things you have to think about when you're running a business or when you're trying to use things to generate money and get profits. Okay, is it more complicated but simpler. Is that better? But it costs you more money, or is it's much, much cheaper, but you might have to do a little bit more work on your own. So those are the things. So I'm going to run this again. I'm going to actually try and create them this time. I destroyed them last time. It's actually showed in green because it did what it's supposed to do. So it's successful. Red as a warning here. So I always want to bring that up. Sometimes if you're doing something, you're trying to figure out what happened or what went wrong, it helps to, not perfect, but looking at the colors might tell you in exactly where the issue is happening. So even though it's in green, it removed something. So right here, I'm seeing a lot of green. So I'm using this command again, Terraform. So I talked about 3 commands, right? These 3, I'll bring up the chat again. So these are my 3 commands. So Rico Mickelson, so I'm going to go through, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to literally go through every example in the book. I'm going to show it in a video. I'm going to do every single one of them. So as your people over there are following along, is actually clear to them. So this one, I'm just showing stuff that's a lot more complicated, but I do want everybody to finish the book. Just finish it, and then we can go through how you actually show it. And they can show some other side of it as well on CloudShare. So right here, how many things am I going to create? I'm going to create this. So I want to create something, right? I ran this command. I want to create something. And this is one of them. This is 2. It's 3, 4, should be 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that's 9. And this is, like I said, very, very detailed, but everything here that I'm looking at here is also in this file that I created here. So what did I do? So you say, Fritz, what did you do? So I wrote in a text file. So Mickelson, you use a PC. Let's see if I can move this. This screen is not helping right now.
If I can use the PC right now?
Wait, yeah, how is your PC?
My PC is my house. Because it has a RAM memory problem. I have to buy the RAM memory, and then in order to use it.
All right, just let me know. Send me a WhatsApp message, like exactly what's happening with your PC. Just send me a WhatsApp message. But on your PC, do you use Notepad? Like, what do you use, or do you use Microsoft Word?
I use Notepad and Microsoft, both.
Okay. So I use Notepad a lot. Yeah, because Notepad is very simple. There are more complicated tools that people use, but I'm a big fan of Notepad because it just does one thing. Whatever you type is exactly what you see. That's what it is. So a lot of the things that I show, you can type in Notepad. So, but what I want to show is in this file, like again, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. All right, some of these is not going to be a one-to-one because some of these aren't created separately. But if you see resource, basically it means like in this file, something got created. So you don't have to understand everything or the details of it. But where you see something that says resource, it means that something got created. That's really, if you only understand that, that's fine. So I'm going to create something because you see the word resource. I'm going to create all right, so this is I'm going to create a bucket here. That's a resource. I'm going to create a Object, that's another resource. Function, that's another resource. 5, it's probably 6. All right, so it's gonna create all those. Let me count them again. See if make sure I'm not crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because it should be 6. No, I mean, excuse me, 9, 7, 8. Okay, actually, I take that back. All right, so they're 9. All right, yep. All right, good, good, good. So let me go through and show a little something. Okay, thank you. All right, so let me show.
You see the message?
Yeah, I saw your message. Thank you. Let me show. All right, so for each one, so Miguel-san, so you use Notepad. So you and I can use the same tools. Like I know you need a lot more information, but you are using the same tool that I use. Okay. So I don't want you to be you need more tools, but this is one of the tools that I use. So Notepad, for example, it's not in order the way I want it, but I want to say I create this random pet, right? And on this, where is it? All right, so it's down here. So it's like it went backwards right here. So where I say I want it in Notepad, I say this is what I want to create. In green, the computer is telling me, yes, I'm going to create that. All right. So, and it adds some more information. So you see it has the prefix is this, and it has a prefix here. And then there's a length of 4, because I say I want to create that. And there's a length of 4 here. So, and then there's some other extra information that gets added, because I said it gets a bit more complicated. So I add some of my information, and then the computer adds its information, and those come together. So I want to create 9 things. I want to create 9 things. I want those 9 things to appear in AWS. All right. So that's kind of the connection. Well, that ain't kind of. So Notepad, I write what I needed. I'm gonna type something kind of and then I want to see if I can create the picture. Let's see. So Notepad to Terraform to AWS. So let me run this again, which I think I did already. Yes. All right, yeah, so it's creating everything. I've already done it. So it created my 9. All right, so let me see, because I don't remember this and I haven't done this in a while. Let me see if I can remember how to do the picture. I'll put that in the chat. Give me a second. We're gonna try this out. All right, I think I can do this. Oh no, let me do that. So you can still see my window. Oops. All right. All right, so it's not gonna do, I think it's gonna generate SVG. All right, so this would work if we're doing this on. Okay, I think I can do this in SVG. All right, so I want to show a picture of everything, and kind of so we can kind of put some of the pictures together, some of the. All right, so maybe I can do this in Visual Studio. All right, put up a really complicated, but not too complicated for you guys. Okay, so there's the TGML. All right, so right here is a list of everything that's connected to what we created. You don't need all this information, but 1 second while I pull up and this is another way to see it. So we created this, and actually, let me show you some code. All right, okay, so what we did is we put this on the internet. It's code. There's going to be a lot more than what's in your book, but I just wanted you guys to see this. So all this, I did this on Notepad. You need more tools, but I did it on Notepad. Oh man, okay. All right, so I saw your message. Thank you. Okay, so the other side of wanted to show was on Lambda, there's code, and I'm going to keep this example because it's a good one. I want to show more behind. So I'm going to do a couple of things. So from your book, I'll use more of those examples because those are more basic and more building blocks. And the other thing is I want to keep this example because it's actually a really, really good one to keep building on. So instead of making this, I'm going to actually stay consistent on this one and the basic ones, but I do want to stay on this one because this covers so much. So, all right, I saw your message. Thank you. All right, let's see if I can generate your picture. So it's this, and all right, I think this works. We're about to find out. It's been a while since I've done this on a different system, but we're about to find out. So I want to show you a picture. And I'm going to keep that example. I'll create some other things to. All right, let's see if this works. All right, this actually might work. Oh no. That did not work. All right, I'm gonna have to try something else. We're not gonna spend too much time on this. Let me just look this up real quick. Let's see. I want to generate a PNG file from this. I have to look this up. Do that. All right, so what I'll do is yeah, I don't want to run this one. It's gonna be too much. All right, so I'll generate it elsewhere, but all right, it's not gonna work. I'll have to try this on. Yeah, Rachel, I don't know if you can still hear me, but they are got a message from Rigo. I think it started raining and they're gonna be offline mostly. So all right, but I did cover what I wanted to cover this today. Can you hear me? Hey, let me stop right here. Oh, let me text you, Rachel. Mm.